The drunken monkey hypothesis. Yes, it's a thing, and we're gonna talk about it. Revisiting that Sonoma wine district tax, interesting little update on that. Kerner and Dornfelder in Lodi. That's verrückt. The 50 best Chardonnays in the United States of the 21st century. There is a list for everything, and we have got it for you. All that and more on this week's episode of This Week Uncorked. Well, hello, and welcome to episode 64 of This Week Uncorked for October 6, 2025. I am Brett Martin from Cork and Journey. If you are unaware, one of the few people on the entire planet that might be unaware, well, Cork and Journey is your number one source for corkage fees. We also have winery reviews, wine reviews, restaurant reviews, regional guides, and much, much more. And with that, let's get on with this week's wine news. All right, we start with from Popular Science. Margherita Bassi is reporting that new research suggests that wild chimpanzees consume the equivalent of 2 glasses of wine per day through naturally fermented fruit. Scientists measured ethanol in the wild fruits, and they concluded that this might have evolutionary links to the human attraction to alcohol. From the article. Nonetheless, their alcohol intake might provide insight into a theory called the drunken monkey hypothesis. The drunken monkey hypothesis basically says that human attraction to alcohol is due to our ancestral fruit-eating diet, which is thought to have contained alcohol from fermentation. Morrow tells Popular Science it suggests that our early ancestors evolved an evolutionary preference for ethanol because it could have helped us locate sugar calories from a long distance, and possibly because during periodic bottlenecks in food availability, fermentation could have unlocked nutrients that would otherwise have remained chemically inaccessible. This is from Popular Science, therefore the language. But anyway, that's the drunken monkey hypothesis. Monkeys to this day, evidently, having a couple glasses of wine every day and doing just fine. They're strong. It might rip your face off. There's all kinds of monkeys are mean. Don't forget it. They're mean. Probably because they're drunk all the time. Anyway, moving on with the news. Sonoma, so Wall Street Journal, we talked about this. Sonoma is planning on having a wine improvement district tax of 1%. There was a whole uproar about it, and, we covered it. I want to say episode 58. So this is almost 2 months ago. We talked about this. Well, now the Wall Street Journal comes out and covers this week. And the headline is, Sonoma's bold idea to woo younger wine drinkers, raise prices. Okay, that's not reporting, and that's bad. That's clickbait bull, and I'm sorry, Wall Street Journal. No. And I like the Wall Street Journal, but anyway, Jim Carlton wrote the article, and it's basically about the 1% fee that they are planning on adding, and it's very, very contentious. The whole idea is to woo Gen Z and get them back. But there were some interesting facts in the article that I wanted that I didn't have in the previous information. So it was actually a well-researched article aside from the headline. So here's from the article. In Livermore Valley, east of San Francisco, a 2% fee raised about $550,000 annually for marketing spending. Campaigns targeted nearby San Jose and Silicon Valley, drawing a surge in visitors that helped keep local wine sales flat despite the industry's decline. Boom. Yes, that's what they're supposed to do. And on a $50 bottle of wine, it's $1. So no, not a huge raise in prices and probably negligible. And quite frankly, the wineries could eat the dollar. In Sonoma County, Joe Bartolome, a local grape farmer and co-owner of the luxury farmhouse inn, noticed other regions' results and suggested Sonoma follow. If you really want to have a meaningful campaigns to drive visitation, it takes money. And he thinks fears of consumer backlash are unfounded. It looks very different charging a 1% assessment on a $100 bottle of wine than the price of eggs or milk going into the grocery store. Okay, on a $100 bottle of wine, the actual cost of goods is somewhere around $15 to $20 for the winery. It's direct to consumer. You're selling it at the winery. Eating $1 on that is not going to kill you going into a marketing fund. or raise it to $101. Everybody's going to think it's funny and nobody's going to notice. So anyway, I just want to follow up on that story a little bit. Still has not passed. They're still working on it. Hopefully it goes through. I think it'll be good for Sonoma. Anyway, moving on with the wine news today. This is kind of a cool little article. So over the San Francisco Chronicle, Esther Mobley, she does great stuff over there, amazing reporting. And she's got an article that everyone thought he was crazy. Now this eccentric California vineyard has a waiting list. It's a really interesting story about, I want to pronounce it, Moklumen Glen Vineyards in Lodi. And basically going way back in the 70s, they planted 52 different strains of German and Austrian grapes. And now you have winemakers. They don't make their own wine. They tried for a while, but they don't anymore. But now you have winemakers that are just coming to them for these grapes because of how they're actually faring and the quality of the wines they're producing. So from the article, a single block of wines at the vineyards is home to 52 German and Austrian grape varieties rarely found in the U.S. Many are grapes that most wine drinkers have never heard of, much less tasted. Outside of the German collection, which is that whole little block that they have there with 52 grapes, the vineyard, which only totals 15 acres, is planted with 9 main varieties, mostly Kerner and Dornfelder. That Bob, that is the original founder, who's passed away now, of the vineyard, his son runs it now, discovered grows the best. The vineyard's proximity to the river results in slightly cooler temperatures than most of Lodi, but the greatest factor is the vineyard's ability to grow these unconventional grapes in its deep sandy soils, known to produce concentrated fruit with high levels of acidity, intense aromatics, both of which are defining qualities of many German and Austrian white wines. I don't believe I've tried these grapes. I actually didn't look to see if I have them in my cellar at all, but I probably should have. Freddie, let's pause. Let me check. I'll come right back. No, I do not. I tried. I looked, but no Kerner nor Dornfelder. So I don't know. And I looked, it looks like historically I've never had them. So if you guys have had them, I'd love to know. I'm going to go have to find a bottle. I think that's half the fun of really being into wine. Anyway, and we're going to wrap up the news with an article. The wine industry loves its lists, and the Robb Report wine editors Mike DeSimone and Jeff Jensen have presented their curated list of the 50 greatest California Chardonnays of the 21st century so far. Basically spotlighting some standout examples, but kind of across the whole region, and it's really, really kind of interesting. So, we're only 25 years into this, so they're picking everything from the last 25 years. And I have to say, pretty good list. I'm not a big oak guy, and it appears they're not either. A few wines in there with a bit of oak on them, but most of them not so much, or very moderate, or neutral barrels, or stainless steel, anyway, that kind of stuff. But, number 50, Mathiasen. Gotta love Steve. He doesn't use a lot of oak on him. I don't think he uses any oak on his Chardonnay or any of his whites. But he comes in at 50. Some highlights from here. 46, Knightsbridge. They make a great wine. A little bit of oak on that. Patson Hall. Killer. Nickel. Again, you're going to have a little bit of oak, but I think the 23 Nickel. 2010 Mayacamus, not much. Gurgachill's 2016 Estate. That is made pretty much in the same format that the 1973 Chateau Montelena Chardonnay that won the tasting in Paris in 76. So the 73 Chardonnay that won the 76 tasting in Paris, made by Mike Gurgach. It's in that style. That's the one that the French couldn't tell from Chablis. And, anyway, pretty good. And then the Ridge Vineyards 2023 Montebello Estate, also fantastic wine. But all that being said, I'm not sure any of them are worth it compared to the bang for your buck you're going to get from France. I did look in my cellar on this before the show, and I have 16 Chardonnays from France, 3 from the U.S., 1 from Mexico. 3 from the U.S. are Mathiasen. Go figure, and the which is pretty much made in that kind of French Chablis style. But, Burgundy just produces some amazing Chardonnay. It's not over oaked. If it has any oak, it has no oak usually. It's just great. They're crisp. It presents the grape So I guess at the end of the day, well, I think there are great California Chardonnays. You can get like 4 bottles of amazing Chardonnay from France for the price of some of these that we were talking about here. So anyway, good list though. If you got them, drink them. And moving on, let's move on now with our wine and winery of the week. Alrighty, this was a cool little winery we visited over when we were in Tuscany. It's Panizzi. They're doing some really interesting stuff. They've got Pinot. Don't see that in Tuscany. That's kind of their big thing they're doing, and it wasn't bad. It's outside the town of San is it Gimignano? I can't never pronounce it. Anyway, it's a beautiful town, by the way, but I can't remember how to pronounce it. Anyway, just they've got some really interesting wines. It's a beautiful winery. We had a completely private tasting when we were there, kind of running through every single thing they had. I think I bought 2 cases. They're on their way in October, November. Actually, we're October. Oh, the wine shall be arriving soon. That is exciting. Great place. Off the beaten path. Our driver, we'd hired a local expert, and he'd never been to the place, but after driving us around for a few days and us kind of exploring, he goes, hey, let's try this place. I've heard good things. Man, was he right. So shout out to Stefano. That was killer taking us here. Price range for this is $25 to $60. They've got a variety of tastings you can do, but they're just very casual. So I mean, if you can get in, you're basically just taste through everything. You might as well. It's really good. And staying over in Tuscany, really interesting grape variety. Hard to rate. We gave it 93 points, but San Felice has the Pugnitello. Basically, this is a grape that they completely rescued from extinction. San Felice did. They basically did research over the University of Florence and Pisa, and they worked with them to get the lineage of this grape, but the genetics on it, and they saved it. And I think they're the only place that actually has any vineyards of it. And it was a really interesting grape. Deep garnet. It's got a really viscous rim. It's it's just beautifully looking in the glass. Medium plus on the aroma, but it's black cherry, black currant, blackberry, some plum, had some leather and some lavender, baking spices. I mean, this is a wine. This is a deep wine. The palate, very dry, full-bodied, medium acidity, firm polished tannins, black fruit across the board just kind of leads it. So your black cherry, got some cassis, blackberry, a little olive and lavender in there. And it's got some oak that's kind of fully integrated. Anyway, it's a winner. Not sure if you can find it because I'm shipping a bunch over here. I think they'll ship it to you. But if you can find it around, check it out. We were pleasantly surprised. Always cool to taste a grape you've never tasted before, like those 2 German ones we're all going to go find and taste. But anyway, cool stuff. So shout out to everybody there at San Felice. It was fun tasting we did there as well. Alrighty, and moving on, let's go to our restaurant and Uncorked of the week. All right, we've got Azumi. They are in Houston, Texas. $100 plus, Japanese, as you would imagine. They're in the River Oaks district there. Really good upscale sushi joints in Houston. It's good. It's sushi. It's izakaya. It's a whole deal. And man, it's well done we're just shocked to find it in Houston. So worth checking out there. So if you're in the downtown Houston area, I would suggest you do give this a check out because it's in Texas. They do not have a corkage fee, or no corkage fee is allowed, but they actually have another restaurant in Baltimore. I'm not sure how you end up in Baltimore and Houston. Who knows? Winter, summer thing. figuring out. But they've got one in Baltimore, and do have a corkage fee there. It's $30. So I haven't tried out the Baltimore one, but I would imagine if they're going for consistency, it will be just as good as Houston, hopefully. And hey, you can bring your own bottle of wine there. All right, with that is going to wrap up this week's episode of This Week Uncorked. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in and watching us. And as always, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on all your favorite social media apps. And hey, check out that interview we did in Chateauneuf-du-Pape with Remy Sheen from Chateau de Neuf. It's a cool interview. Until next week, everybody, cheers.